Alrighty, I think I'm live. Yes, I am. All right. So, line weight, stage 4. I'm going to jump up to a softer pencil here because my line is maybe already dark. As I stated before, I've been using softer pencils so you can see what I'm doing in the videos. Otherwise, they won't show up in the video. So I have my 2B, which is almost gone. I have a 3B here, and I also have a 4B for the very end. Now these softer pencils, you're gonna have to sharpen a lot, especially when you're doing this type of work. If you're just doing like a gestural study of a figure, but we're not gonna be doing that in this class, that's a different thing. You don't have to really sharpen them as much. Okay, so let's start with the 3B. And there was, on this particular object here, because I have a lot of activity here, and I'm thinking composition too. At the final stage 3, you're also thinking about, is there any little elements that I can do to improve the composition? So this is like a big open space. There's nothing happening here. There's so much happening here. To balance this out a little bit, I was thinking about using some of the, I think there was tape on top of here. Maybe the tape went this way or tape went this way, and maybe it was taped across the front of the object. I'm not sure, something along the lines of that. That might be enough to activate that space and to help give it some volume, some dimension. Because when it's just a big flat shape, it kind of flattens the form. That's why ellipses are really great for contour line drawing, because they show volume. I did put this in. I thought that was an easy thing to do, and it supports the idea of a tissue box there. Other than that, I'll do that at another point when I finish the drawing. I took my still life down already, but I do have the photo of it, so I can probably just use that, even though I don't want you to use photo references. All right, so I'm going to lighten the value of this mug back there, and I just darken this line here. And I also darken this line here. Now this object is closer to me, or closest to me. So I think I'm gonna go up here. It just looks funny. There we go. Maybe that's right. That box just plays with my eyes. I just can't figure it out. I might adjust. You know what? Let's do it now. This is also the time to make those final adjustments. This is what I had originally. This is what I cited, and this is what it says. And I just don't think, I think it just converges too much. So I might come back to that at another point. I'll have to walk away from it and look at it about 10 feet away. Drawing this guy here. So you can kind of see I'm just putting some dark lines in. Why freehand this when it's a straight line? Just use a ruler like I'm using here. But the nice thing about this, all these construction lines that you had there are starting to disappear. And as this goes underneath the form, you can just kind of stop the line, because you should have a line there from before, a ghost line, which we do right there. And then I'll just extend this out this way. Already, just by making this a little darker, these areas pull forward. The thing about line weight, if your line weight isn't established well and everything's the same value, everything gets jumbled up. There's no spatial depth. There's no hierarchy, and it becomes confusing because you don't know what's pulling forward and what's receding in space. So it's really important. This is kind of one of the more critical stages towards the end of the drawing to make it complete and finished. Now, because I'm flat and seated, now I can start to perfect my ellipses and get a darker line. You can see I worked at these ellipses for a while because they're there's tons of construction lines. I took off, I put on, I took off, I put on until I got it where I wanted it. I actually even moved this coffee pod, angled it towards me a little bit because I thought it was a better view. And then the other thing, move this guy, is if it's an ellipse like this guy, and it's just easier for you to draw it like this, because you can't twist your body that way, then twist the drawing. It makes life so much easier. I have students that will just not do it because I'm like, well, take your drawing up and move it. And I'm like, oh, it's too much work. So it's not too much work. It takes 2 seconds. And just by doing that, you can kind of see how that started to pull out. And now the coffee pods, I kind of lied about them a little bit. The coffee pods here, they have this little top part and it's wider than these lines here. I'm just connecting them there. I mean, they're just kind of like generic forms at the moment. It's not a big deal. I'm interested in you drawing the ellipse and drawing the form, angled in space, or whatever the case is. Now, you can see this right here, right? That's what I'm talking about. What's pushing and pulling? Everything's equal line weight. So then at this point, you can take a kneaded eraser, lighten it. Just lighten it. Whenever I use a kneaded eraser, and they say it's needed because you need it, and it self-cleans. And we'll get into this when we work with charcoal, but what I like to do is make a little kind of like flat plane here, and I put it right on my finger, and it's thin because when I use it on my finger, I can kind of feel it. So the nerves on my finger are controlling it a little bit. So then I could just kind of use that, and I can lighten lines, and I'm just kind of putting my finger on it. Don't use this edge because you don't know what the heck is touching the surface. Okay, now I'm going to take this. And do I want to sharpen my pencil? I think I do. Oops. See how hard I was pressing. So just by doing that, outlining the exterior, keeping the interior just as a ghost line, shows that it's transparent. And then I outline this guy. That form is there. It's clearly there. I might even get my 4B later on and go over that again. Don't feel like, oh, I already made it dark and I think I'm done. You might keep going. You might hit the same line 3 or 4 times with softer pencils as you continue applying line weight. It's not just a one-shot deal and you're done and you move forward. You just have to say, well, you know, that would be better darker. That would be better lighter. Let me just adjust that. And you're constantly adjusting things. So that's starting to pull forward now. God, that bothers me. I just think it's too much of a diagonal. But it looks like that's what it should be. Okay, the other thing I wanted to do, wanted to put this line in here. I mean, there's a lot that I have to do. I'm just kind of jumping around from object to object for the sake of the video. And then I'm going to finish this on my own time, and then I'll post a photograph, or maybe I'll make a quick video explaining what I did. Again, I'm going to make this a little darker. And I went into the form, but I didn't mean to do that. That was a mistake. Okay. And then this guy here, I think, comes down. Goes back up. Might as well use the ruler at that point. So things are starting to clarify, pulling forward, pushing back. At the very end, I might hit the straws one more time. And this is driving me nuts. I think as you can see, you might have to take off and put on a bunch of times. And it just feels better here. And it just felt like it didn't work that well there. And see my transparent line, I'll have to move that down. Put it like right here. And then where these meet, which I think is like right here, and then you just drop a line down. Not terrible. I can fake it a little bit. Okay, so I was just trying to get that back plane of the box, but I think that feels a lot better. And then you would work this. This is closest. Definitely, if you do have a table or something that your still life is on and there's this angle, first of all, you want to sight the angle and then put it down. But utilize that. That's a really quick way of activating this space. If there's anything back here that you want to utilize, that's like a door in your room or something like that, that you can just activate that space with, if it's necessary, do it. Or, to be honest, these little construction lines that follow all the way up, activate that space as well as, but the focal point is the still life, and that's where the value or the line weight comes in. All right, I will finish this up. I will have a video explaining what I did and a photograph. Okay, bye.